I hope you are doing absolutely fabulous. So, for this particular lesson, the students who are in school have learned this already, so I want to make sure that you get the exact same experience. So you should have taken this PDF and opened it up in Kami, Kami. So you're using Kami so that you can write on this. If you would like to type, you're going to click on the box so that you can type. You are absolutely welcome to type instead of write. You can also use your shape tool or your scribble tool, but I want you to make sure that you are completing the notes just like everyone else in the building or in the school did. So make sure that you have your PDF open. Make sure that you have it open in Kami or DocHub if you would prefer. And make sure you are ready to follow along as we complete these notes. So an expression, as a reminder, has no equal sign. So we are going to be writing some expressions that have a variable that express some scenarios that we're going to be looking at. So Jake is a wrestler who weighs 89 pounds. So you need to be like, all right, what do I write down? Well, probably the number, which would be 89. Do you need the label? No, not right now. To make his weight class, he needs to gain. And now I want you to circle the word gain, and the word gain is going to tell you to add. So we're going to add 4 pounds. The word each tells us to multiply. Each what? Each week. So if this were each day, I'd probably use a variable D. If this were each year, I would probably use the variable Y. If this were each month, I'd probably use the variable M. But because it's each week, I'm going to use the W. Okay, a hot air balloon is 350 feet off the ground. You should probably write 350. And is descending. The word descending means that it's going down. If it's going down, that means we are subtracting. At a rate of, so we are subtracting at a rate of 5 feet. Now, could I replace this word per with each? Yes. 5 feet each minute? Yes, that would make sense. So I know that that means also multiply. And because we're talking about in minutes, I'm going to use the letter M. Uber drivers get paid $1.75 for each ride. Plus, oh wait, I simply write the word plus. Now this one gets a little tricky because we're talking about a quarter mile. And I want you to ignore the fact that we have that quarter there. That's kind of just information to kind of throw you off. So we're going to do 10 cents each quarter mile. Don't lose this decimal here. A small pizza costs $7, and the word and tells us to add, by the way, $1.25 for each topping. Now, I typically say do not use the letter T. In fact, the variables that I tell you not to use are B, L, O, S, and T. And the reason why is because B looks a whole lot like a 6, L looks a whole lot like a 1, O looks like a whole lot like a 0, S looks a whole lot like a 5, and T looks a whole lot like a plus sign. So if we could just avoid those variables, that would be helpful. So does it really matter which variable you use? No, not really. I'm going to use an X. All right, so your brain should be kind of like wired towards what we're doing. Now, here's the thing. We're going to write the equation, but then if you see, the standard says write and solving equations with variables on both sides. So we have to be able to solve the equations as well. So we need to practice how to solve these equations. So remember, we're going to be DCV, distribute, combine like terms, move our variables to the left. So there's no parentheses here, so we're not distributing. Combining like terms, a lot of students say combine like terms because there's two terms with an x. But we're only going to look at one side of the equal sign. And on one side of the equal sign, there's nothing that we can combine. And on the other side of the equal sign, there's nothing we can combine. So we're not combining like terms. What we are going to do is move our variable to the left. And to do that, we do the opposite. So the opposite of 5x is a negative 5x or a minus 5x. And so when I write it on both sides of the equation, because you have to do the same thing to both sides each time, I'm going to write it underneath the 3x because they both have a variable. Therefore, I'm going to bring down, this is what you put in the calculator, 3 minus 5, or 3 plus a negative 5, which is going to be a negative 2x, plus 4. This cancels out, so you are left with a negative 8. Then this looks like a standard equation. So box your variable term, opposite operation. And the number one thing students in class forgot to do was box the variable term. Sometimes the variable doesn't end up here in front, it becomes the second term. And if you don't box it, then you end up adding the wrong number or subtracting the wrong number. Remember, we put it inside the box and keep it safe until later. We get rid of the constant, we get rid of the number that's next to the box. So we've got a negative 2x equals, and again, you're going to put a negative 8 minus 4 into your calculator, or you're going to put in negative 8 plus a negative 4. That's going to be a negative 12. Opposite operation, x equals 6. Okay, so let's look at these a little bit closer. If you needed to pause that at any time so that you could kind of slow it down, then please do so. Excuse me. Okay, Jake is a wrestler who weighs 89 pounds. To make his weight class, he needs to gain 4 pounds each week. John is a wrestler who weighs 110 pounds and needs to lose 3 pounds each week. How long until they weigh the same? So when we see the fact that they're going to weigh the same, we know that it is going to be equal. So we're looking for the point at which Jake is going to be equal to John. So Jake is 89 pounds and he's gaining 4 pounds each week. John is 110 pounds and he needs to lose, so that means he's subtracting 3 pounds each week. Now we're going to distribute, combine like terms, move our variables to the left. There are no parentheses, there's nothing for us to combine, but there's definitely a variable for us to move to the left. And we do that by doing the opposite operation. The opposite of minus 3w is plus 3w. So it simply becomes 89 plus 7w is equal to 110. And this is where students got lost because they didn't box their variable term. Here is my variable term. So I have to get rid of the 89 first, which means I have to subtract 89 first. You bring down your 7W. You use a calculator for this, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be 21. You divide by 7. And so in W, it's going to be weeks, which is 3. And would it make sense that the two boys would weigh the same in 3 weeks? Yes. I could then ask you to find out how much each one weighs. If that were the case, you could take the 3 and plug it in. And I could tell you that both of them are going to weigh 101 pounds. That's extra. I'm doing the most. Okay. Let's move on to the next scenario. So, again, we want balloon 1 and balloon 2 to be equal to one another. So the first balloon is 350 feet off the ground, and it's descending. That means we're subtracting at a rate of 5 feet each minute. And a similar hot air balloon is 500 feet off the ground and descending. That means we're subtracting at a rate of 15 feet per minute. How long before they are the same distance off the ground, which is why we know the two of them are equal to one another. So we are going to add 15m to both sides. Why? dCV. We don't have anything to distribute. We don't have anything to combine, but we do have variables we need to move to the left. So I'm going to put it underneath our 5m, our negative 5m. This cancels out, so we are left with 350. And you're going to put into your calculator a negative 5 plus 10, or 15, which is going to give you a positive 10m. Don't lose the operator, don't use the variable. That's another thing that students have been doing, is dropping the variable. Equals 500. Okay, box the variable term, opposite operation. Bring down the variable term, bring down the math, opposite operation. The m is equal to 15. 15 minutes. Okay. For the remaining, I want you to try and write an equation. I want you to pause the video. So I'm seriously speaking to you. Please pause the video. I want you to pause the video. Do you hear me say pause the video? Write down the equation for the next 3 problems. And then after you've written down the equations, you can hit play again and see if you've written the equations correctly before you try and solve them. So, again, try and solve these by pausing the video first. Use the other examples that you have for help, but hit pause right now and try and do these 3 other problems by yourself, so that you know what's going on. All right, so please do not just copy this. It will not help you if you copy this. If you have not already tried this on your own, pause the video and go back. Do not look at the answers. Please, it doesn't help you if you are just riding on the coattails of somebody else's brain. Okay, so this is the correct equation for this problem. $1.75 plus 10 cents M equals $2.50 plus 5 cents M. And as a reminder, the first thing you're going to do is move this to the left. Okay, the next equation. It is $7 plus $1.25. X is equal to $8 plus 1x. And if you've added extra decimals, that's perfectly fine. As a reminder, the first thing you're going to do is move this variable to the left by using the opposite operation. And then you need to finish solving it. And the last one. So it's $100 plus 10 each month and $25 plus 25 each month. Okay, that's all that you need to solve these. Make sure you save your paper once you're done, and then upload your submission for a grade. Please let me know if you have any questions at all, and I will talk to you soon.